pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the May 16th meeting of the Board of County Commissioners. My name is Shelley Bueller, and I have the pleasure of serving as chair of the commission alongside Commissioner Bob Archer and Commissioner Kevin Burke.
Good morning.
Good morning. Madam Clerk, we do have an item to add, and I'll make a motion to add just right before the bond council, right after correction orders. So that is a motion.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Cook. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0, and it's a membership for district court. All right. First item, please.
Okay, the first item is item 2, unfinished business. Number 1, consider approval of request to create and fill a physician and to fill a vacant LPN position for a total of 2013 fiscal impact of $121,961 and a 2014 fiscal impact of $243,927. This is from the health agency.
Great. And Alice, I want to remind everybody, not pointed to you, but when you come up to the podium and speak, try not to add too much to the podium, because when you ruffle the papers, the audio, I guess, gets a little muffled, and be sure to speak up. So we heard from a couple of different people that our Monday morning audio was not as clear. So
okay.
You'll be the first one to.
I will do my best.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Good morning, Commissioners. Alice Weingartner, Shawnee County Health Agency. Before you, again, is the request to fill the physician position and a licensed practical nurse position. I did provide some additional information. We did visit with our County Human Resources Director and our County Audit Finance Director. And in reviewing the information before us, we've identified how these positions would be funded. As noted, we would look at 2 current active position control numbers, also known as PCN numbers, and those positions would be repurposed to fund the physician's salary. And then one of the position control numbers that we have identified in our 2013 budget would be used to fund the licensed practical nurse position. As noted, for 2013, the fiscal impact would be $121,961. In 2014, we would look at a total fiscal impact of $243,927. Again, these positions, well, particularly the physician position, is one that would generate revenue. We anticipated conservatively that that position could generate up to $245,000 in net revenue to help cover the cost of that position. I would also add that coming in January 1 of 2014 is going to be the implementation of the health insurance exchange. And with that, we're anticipating that we will see more uninsured individuals be eligible for insurance coverage, which again helps with the reimbursement for health care costs. We're anticipating that there's about 7,084 Shawnee County residents who would be eligible for these subsidized insurance plans. So again, that just increases our opportunity for revenue. Again, hiring a physician, I know the question was asked last time about hiring a mid-level versus a physician. We already have a significant number of mid-levels who are part of our cadre of providers, and so we're looking to try to get a better balance, and by adding a physician, we would be at a more 2-to-1 ratio in our physician positions to mid-level positions. The other factor that we take into consideration is that it typically takes about 12 to 18 months to even identify and hire a physician, and then another 60 to 90 days to go through the credentialing and privileging process so that we can bill for services. And again, in reviewing our current personnel, we anticipate, or we recognize that we have at least 2 providers who could retire in the next 1 to 3 years. So losing a provider and then having to wait another year or more to fill that position would have a significant impact on our operations and our ability to meet the needs of the patients who come in to see us. So I would be happy to answer any other questions.
Thank you, Alice. Other questions? Yes, Commissioner?
Yeah, I had asked for a deferral and consideration of this and appreciate the additional information. And after receiving this additional information, I realize how smart it is that we move forward with this. So I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
There's a motion to approve by Commissioner Archer and second by Commissioner Cook. Further discussion? All in favor of the motion say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Item 2, under unfinished business, acknowledge receipt of correspondence from Sheriff Jones regarding the renewal of a contract, Contract C-263-2013, with CBS Manhattan LLC for annual maintenance of access controls at a cost of $38,500.
Good morning, Commissioners. Captain Hubler of the Sheriff's Office. I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
There were questions that there weren't any additional information, just the memo, so, but we received that, so are there questions?
I don't, after receiving the additional information, I don't have any questions. I would move for approval of the expenditure.
There's a motion to approve by Commissioner Cook, and actually it's a renewal of the
Oh,
contract.
I guess that's just acknowledgement.
Okay, acknowledgement of.
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor of the motion say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Thank you.
Commissioners.
Item 3, consent agenda.
Move approval. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor of the motion say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0.
Item 4, new business. Item A, County Clerk number 1, consider all voucher payments.
Madam Chair, we have one set of vouchers dated May 15th, 2013, in the amount of $1,278,980.62. I'll make a motion to approve the vouchers.
There's a motion to approve by Commissioner Archer.
I would second. I do have two comments, though.
Okay. There's a second by Commissioner Cook. And questions?
Yes. On the sheriff, there is a notice for the purchase of a Chevy Tahoe. I don't know if the sheriff is here or...
Captain Sheriff Jones is.
This is the replacement of a Tahoe that appears that was in an accident, and we received a check from the insurance company for $26,275, and I just want to note that the actual expenditure to replace it was $26,106.75. And so I just wanted to congratulate Sheriff Jones on being able to come in under budget.
Thank you, sir. We're trying our best.
Every little bit helps, even if it's only $168.
That's right.
So I just want to note that the expenditure for the Tahoe was covered by the insurance.
Okay.
So, the other is on the treasurer's office. I noticed there was a expenditure to UMB Bank, and there's two expenditures, one under general and one under the treasurer's office. The one for the treasurer is $1,001.28, and the one for general is $4,798.72. And just for clarification, I believe that Mr. Ma, correct me if I'm wrong, the $4,798.72 is the monthly fee charged to the county for services with UMB.
Yes.
Commissioners, I would note on our bank statement, it is not alarming, but should be noted, on any given day, the county only has $8 million on hand with the bank. For this last month, it was $8,233,048.01. That is concerning when we talk about the expenditures the county faces and where our cash reserves are. And talking with Mr. Ma and our audit finance director, Ms. Greiner, I understand there also are investments, there's other, so this may not be a complete picture, but when we talk about available cash at the bank, we have just a little over $8 million. And so I would hope that as a county we can shore up our financial position in the upcoming years.
And we do have an update on revenues and expenditures in the agenda
Yes.
as well, so that'll be good. All right. There's a motion and second to approve the vouchers as presented. All those in favor say aye, opposed no, motion carries 3-0.
Item A2, consider correction orders.
Move approval.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Cook. All in favor of the motion say aye, opposed no, motion carries 3-0. And then the added item.
The added item from the district court, it is a request for membership to the National Child Support Enforcement Association for Lori Yonkers at a cost of $100.
And I believe Kathy could not be here today, but there was some advantage in registering early. They would receive a discount. Are there questions? Move approval of the request.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor of the motion say aye, opposed no, motion carries 3-0.
Item B, Bond Council, number 1, public hearing and consider resolution number 2013-45 authorizing the issuance of Shawnee County Healthcare Facilities refunding revenue bonds, Series 2013, in an estimated amount of $3,995,000. This is for Midland Care Connection Inc. project and the execution of other related documents.
Good morning, Bob Perry.
Morning, Bob.
I need to open the public meeting.
Okay. At this time, we'll open the public hearing.
We can close it.
Well, I'll ask just to make sure. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to comment on the proposed resolution? Either in favor or opposed? Okay.
Thank you. This resolution authorizes the issuance of approximately $3,955,000 of refunding revenue bonds. The proceeds are going to help hospice refund the 2009 revenue bonds that were issued and restructure a portion of their debt. There'll be interest cost savings and a restructuring. These bonds are revenue bonds, and the industrial revenue bond statute thus they are not a debt or obligation of the county and are not permitted to be paid by any manner of taxation.
Okay. Other questions?
Motion to close the public hearing and pass the resolution.
There's a motion by Commissioner Archer,
Second.
second by Commissioner Cook. And I will abstain on this vote, being a member of the Midland Board. All those in favor of the motion say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 2-0-1. Commissioner Bueller abstaining. Thank you.
Chairman, do you still want me to stay?
Yes, please. Thanks.
Item C, Kansas Expo Center, number 1. Consider approval of request for capital expenditures for A, purchase of 25 WW Livestock Systems 4-way connecting posts for the high school rodeo setup at a cost of $1,850. B, purchase of 1 new pre-fruit competition roping chute at a cost of $1,960.76, including freight.
Good morning, Commissioners. H.R. Cook, General Manager, Kansas Expo Center. These two items, as noted in the memo, are mainly for the high school rodeo championships coming up in June. We've hosted them before. We lost the rodeo to Hutchinson for 3 years. We were awarded the bid. Our current roping chute, we'll go to the roping chute first, is 25 years old. They have had some injuries with the WW roping chute that we currently have. There's others that are out there. And they've requested that we replace that chute because it is dangerous and outdated. As far as the 4-way posts, those are to build the additional pens for the cattle and for the rodeo itself. So be willing to answer any questions you have.
And those purchases come out of?
Purchases will be coming out of our capital expenditure fund. We have, we did a email vote with the advisory board, and it was passed unanimously.
Okay. Thank you, HR. Commissioner Cook.
After these expenditures, what is the balance going to be in the capital expenditures board?
Low. I don't have that memo, Roy.
50,000.
Yeah, I think we're around 50.
48.
50,000.
We will have some next month coming up. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Roy.
Other questions?
Move to approve expenditures.
There's a motion to approve by
Second.
Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor of the motion say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
Thanks, HR.
Item D, Extension Council, number 1, consider approval of resolution number 2013-46, pledging support, endorsement, and cooperation of Dover, Kansas to participate in the Kansas Pride Program.
Good morning, Commissioners. Lori Chandler with the Shawnee County Extension Office. You have before you a resolution that provides support for the Dover community to become a Pride community. And I thought it might be helpful if I gave you a little bit of information. I do have packets from the Pride program. And Commissioner Bueller, I know that you're very knowledgeable about Pride, being in the Rossville group.
We are a Pride community.
You are a Pride community.
Have been for over 10 years.
That's
so,
right.
Yeah.
That's right. The Kansas Pride Program is a partnership between K-State Research and Extension and the Kansas Department of Commerce. And the Pride Program provides support and guidance to communities that want to work on community projects and for the betterment of their community. We have with us today a couple of guests. Trudy Rice, who is the Extension Associate that works with the Kansas Pride Program. She's the program leader. And then we also have Abby Dunford and Amy Johnston, who are with the Dover community. And we were just at a meeting last night working on a survey that they're interested in doing in the Dover community. Ordinarily, to become a Pride community, the incorporated communities go to their city council to ask for this resolution to be approved. But because Dover is unincorporated, the practice is that that resolution be considered by the county commission. And so that's why we are here today, is to ask for your support in that. It in no way commits you to any financial responsibilities. It's the resolution is more of an awareness tool and a communication tool, so that you know that there's a group in the Dover community that is wanting to work on projects that the community determines are important. What questions can we answer for you?
I think it was covered very well.
Well, and I'm just very excited to have Dover become a Pride community. And I think, I mean, they already have a wonderful community that does a number of things, but the support that Department of Commerce and K-State Extension add is just invaluable. And Rossville has really benefited from that for over 10 years.
Yeah.
So there's still, and we're glad to have another Pride community, if this passes, another Pride community in Shawnee County.
We're
so,
thrilled. We've been working on
we
getting
have.
more communities in Shawnee County to be a part of the Pride program, and so we are thrilled that they've decided to do that. And we've already made a connection between Rossville and Dover, so that's going to be a wonderful thing for both groups.
Good deal.
Yeah.
All right. I'll move to approve, to adopt the resolution. Is there a second?
Second.
A second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor of the motion say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome. Thanks for being here this morning.
Item E, Public Works Solid Waste. Number 1, consider approval of request to fill a vacant road maintenance staff position at an annual salary, including benefits, of $32,604.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tom Block with Public Works and Solid Waste. This is a Public Works request, and as mentioned in the memo, we recently had to relieve one of our employees for violation of some of our Human Resources Policy Manual requirements, and that position is now vacant. We would like to fill that position again, because as it currently stands, with that position being vacant, one of our road district crews is understaffed. As mentioned, the salary and in benefits is a little over $32,000. The funding would come from our road maintenance budget, and we do have that in our current budget, so we will be able to refill that position without any negative financial impacts to our budget. So if there's any questions that I may be able to answer, I'd be happy to try to do so.
I have none. Other questions?
Move to approve.
There's a motion to approve by Commissioner Cook.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor of the motion say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom.
Item F, Item F, Parks and Recreation. Number 1, consider authorization and execution of Contract C 269-2013 with the Kansas Department of Children and Families, allowing Shawnee County to be reimbursed for families attending the licensed programs that meet DCF Child Care Assistance Guidelines.
Good morning, Commissioners. Randy Luby, Shawnee County Parks and Recreation. Before you is this application. With your approval, the county will be able to allow low-income families to apply and reimburse the county for their day camps or preschools that they can attend. So with that, I'd be glad to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Randy.
Make the motion to approve.
Second.
There is a motion to approve by Commissioner Archer, second by Commissioner Cook. All in favor of the motion say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 3-0.
Item F2, consider out-of-state travel for an employee to attend the 2013 Summer National Senior Games for an estimated amount of $1,100.
Good morning, Commissioners. This employee that I'm requesting sending is the Kansas Senior Olympics Director. I feel it's important. She'll act as a liaison between the roughly 140 athletes from Kansas that are going. They have a parade of athletes on Friday night where they march in carrying the Kansas flag, and I think it's well worth her being there for this. Be glad to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Randy. Questions, Commissioner Archer?
Yeah, I would make a motion to approve, but to take the pressure off me, I see our city manager is here today, and I would encourage him to participate in the Kansas Senior Olympics. And I did make a motion.
Yeah, motion to approve by Commissioner Archer. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Cook. All in favor of the motion say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Commissioners.
Item F3, consider emergency repairs of the cooling system at the courthouse in a total cost of $5,626.12.
Good morning, Commissioners. Terry Birtles, Parks and Recreation. Have before you an invoice request for emergency purchase for repairs to a cooling system in the courthouse. Not the cooling system, it's the IT server room cooling system. During normal routine maintenance, they found a leak and refrigerant that had gotten out. So we had to repair the leak and replace the refrigerant. Obviously, we can't let the server room get hot, and we made the decision to get the repairs made immediately. So I'm asking for your approval for that invoice.
Move approval. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Cook. All in favor of the motion say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 3-0. Thank you, Terry.
Item G, emergency management. Number 1, consider approval of request to continue incident management team memberships for Dave Sturbins, Dusty Nichols, James Scott Steele, and Nelson East Castile with no fiscal impact.
Good morning, Commissioners. Dave Sturbins, Emergency Management. We've had a long-term relationship with the Northeast Regional Council and the incident management teams. What this does, it's a 2-year commitment to allow employees to go to disasters when they are declared and assist local communities, such as when our staff went and assisted last year at Harveyville. It's just time for us to renew that.
Thank you, Dave. Other questions?
I do.
Commissioner Archer?
Yeah, thank you, Dave. I read the agreement, and it looks like all the staff is going to participate. Is that?
Yes.
Okay.
We don't all deploy at the same time.
Okay. It says, Shawnee County Board of County Commissioners fully support the participation as a member of the Northeast Kansas Incident Management Team. And the next paragraph says, it is understood by Shawnee County that those selected and those who continue to serve will be required to attend meetings, training sessions, exercises, drills, and deployments. That sounds like, you know, an infinite number of hours that we would commit to this, and I'm not sure what we get out of it. What's in it for Shawnee County?
What's in it for Shawnee County is that this is normal training that we would be doing anyway. Rather than doing it just strictly in-house with the county, we're doing it with a multi-county and sometimes even with the rest of the state. What's really in it for Shawnee County is if and when we have a major disaster, all of the other incident management teams come in and support this community, like we did at Greensville, or Greensburg and all the other major disasters that we've had over the last several years. So it's communities sharing, like when our Public Works Department has gone out, for example, during disasters and helped other communities, we can expect the same level of support should we have an incident here.
Do we track the man hours that are dedicated to deployment and training and et cetera, that are involved with this?
Yes, staff keeps track of when we do our drills, because we have to turn all that in to continue to receive our grant funding. So all of that is tracked. Even our volunteers, when they assist, those hours are tracked because that helps us with grant dollars and reimbursement for them also.
How many man hours would you estimate that we would spend in a typical year?
There's no, I would say that we do no additional hours that we wouldn't be doing as a normal course of our duties. It's just that because we're doing it as a region, we're all sharing, and we're doing it multi-agency, multi-jurisdictional, rather than just strictly in-house. So there's really nothing that we're doing that we wouldn't be doing normally, just doing our daily jobs. This is part of what we do in emergency management, so I really don't see it as anything extra. For example, we have instructors, and not necessarily through the IMT, but because some of my staff are on the IMT, that will go to other communities and help teach school, which we do quite regularly. It's the same thing when those other instructors come into our community and teach classes, and it doesn't cost us anything to attend, and we do those classes right here. For example, I'm just finalizing agreement right now to bring the debris management course to Shawnee County here in the next few months, and rather than trying to do it all in the sub-basement, our classroom, we're working an agreement to do it down at KDEM in their bigger, nicer classroom. One of the other emergency managers from another county is coming in to do that so that I can participate with our staff in that class rather than trying to do both sides.
So you see it as a win-win?
I really do see it as a win-win.
The organization and Shawnee County.
Yeah, I see it as saving us money. And again, my biggest thing is knowing that if and when we have a major disaster, or even a minor disaster, where we go beyond any of our local capabilities, that we'll be able to call these other communities and get their immediate response.
I'll make a motion to approve.
So motion to approve by Commissioner Archer,
Second.
second by Commissioner Cook. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Thank you, Dave.
Item H, Audit Finance. Number 1, update on revenues and expenditures.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Betty Greiner, Financial Administrator. I've provided you with charts this month that I think will be a little easier way to get the big picture of our financial position. I will remind you again that this is a snapshot as of the end of April. What I have provided you is a chart that shows the total revenue year to date, and it has a column for the 2012 actual revenue, the 2013 budgeted revenue, and then the 2013 actual. The budgeted amount has taken into account that the revenue is not received evenly throughout the year, so I have allocated that budget by month based on what we would expect, the percentage we would expect to receive each month. As you can see, the actual is $352,000 over budget year to date, but I'd like you to keep in mind that that is less than 1%. So we are really right on budget at this point in time. I've also provided some variances, the largest variances between the 2012 actual amounts and the 2013 actual amounts. Tax revenue is up $546,000. Mortgage registrations is up $637,000. That was one large registration from West Star. We have received $351,000 from a clawback from Home Depot. And just on that, I would like to comment that although, you know, it's nice to receive the $351,000, as a whole, that means that Home Depot did not meet their employment guideline or expectations. So that for the county, you know, the county as a whole is not a positive. We have our tax penalties and interest is up $151,000 this year. And then as we talked last month, the revenue that we've received from the Parks and Rec merger with City of Topeka is down $519,000 this year. That's as was agreed and scheduled. Then if you go down and you look at the year-to-date expenditures, there again I have the same columns. The expenditures for this year is down to budget, is 2.4 million under budget, but there again that is only 7% of our budget. It is only April. We're coming into our summer months. So I would say there again at this point in time we look to be right on budget. The budget numbers I have shown here have adjusted, or I mean the actual numbers, I'm sorry. The actual numbers I have shown here on this chart would not tie to the actual expenditures for the year because I have adjusted those for the quarterly payments that we have made to the organizations that receive a lump sum each year. We pay those on a quarterly basis. Right. So those have been paid for the second quarter, but if I have annualized those. Then on the next chart, I have broken down the revenues into 4 categories, the first of which is tax revenue. And the tax revenue is up from April of 2012, as I had mentioned before, but we are slightly under budget on that. So that is something we will just be watching. The fee revenue is up from budget and up from actual last year. The variance from the actual of last year, again, I mentioned before, the mortgage registration fees is up to $637,000. The clawback from Home Depot and the tax penalties and interest. Also just one other comment. If you look at these charts, it looks like our fee income is up significantly, which it is, but if you look at that chart, the total is $2.5 million compared to the tax revenue of $37 million. So even though the charts may look like there's a big variance, when you put them all together as one lump sum, right, it does not have that big a variance. There again, the charges, we are above budget on that for this year by $200,000. The other revenue, we are down slightly on that from budget. But there again, I would say as a whole, our revenues and expenses are pretty much right on budget at this point in time. I've also provided you with the actual expenditures through the end of April. I won't go into these in detail. This is more for your information, and if you have questions, don't hesitate to ask. I would point out a couple items. As I'd mentioned before, these organizations that we give a lump sum to each year, they have received 2 quarters. So you will see that the amount expended, the percentage expended, is 50% on those. And there will not be another payment, of course, till the 3rd quarter. There's also, on this form, we've made comment on items, especially annual items that have already been paid for the year. So if their percentages of the percent expended is high, take that into effect. And I've worked through these, and if you would annualize those expenditures, there again, most all of the percentages are within a reasonable range of what they should be for this time in the year. I've also provided you with the detail of the revenues as it compares to last year and as it compares to budget. Do you have any questions?
Thank you, Betty. I mean, I believe that the charts make it a little easier for the public to understand. I mean, I still like the detail because it helps give the department directors where they're at, but certainly tells a story more simple, so.
Yeah, I like the bar charts and pointing out the significant variances and why they're there. I like this a lot, and I like the fact that you're normalizing information and not just taking total and dividing it by 12.
Right.
And I think this will give us a lot clearer picture of where we are and where we need to go. So thank you for this information. It's very helpful.
Good work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, please.
Item I, Commission number 1, discussion of countywide sales tax.
And Rich, I believe you're up first.
Good morning, Commissioners. Rich Eggert. How do we turn this on, by the way? Does anybody know?
I think you hit the AV button on that. Push the button.
Be careful not to muffle, Rich.
Rich, before you get started, I want to make sure that we're clear. These are just currently identified county priorities to consider for the countywide sales tax. No decisions have been made. This is discussion, a little bit of history, some potential projects, and then what the commission would need to do. We're going to get some dates from Andrew, but just clearly for our information purposes as a commission.
Correct. And Commissioners, I was tasked with doing a history of sales taxes for the county. So let's start in 1865. Actually, I am going to start pre the computer age. And to note, I was hired in November of 1999. So some of this is pre-me, but my office, as far as I can remember, has always kept great clippings from the local newspaper. So I draw on some of that to figure out what happened. First of all, let's understand how a county-wide sales tax work, and that is contrasted to a city sales tax. When a city passes a sales tax, when the voters approve the ballot initiative, the city keeps 100% of that money for the purpose that they passed it with the sales tax. When a county passes a sales tax, that number is totally different. We do not get 100% of it, and it's based upon property valuation and population. And historically, the numbers that we use in Shawnee County is that when the county passes the sales tax, the city of Topeka gets 59%, the county gets 39%, and the other 2% is dispersed with the other 4 incorporated cities. Now, that number is very old. It's at least 10 years old, and I do suspect that it's changed. If it's changed, it probably works in the city of Topeka's balance when you look at the Home Depots and the Mars and plants like that that are built but are inside the city. So, but I suspect that number is still going to be very close. Now, let's say that if the county wants to work on the Expo Center and that project only, and we put that on the ballot and it passes, the city can spend that 59% on anything they want. They are not bound, in other words, with that money. And that becomes a problem because, as we're going to see, when sales taxes are on the ballot without a purpose, they fail. And I want to start with the election of November 1988. We're going back 5 sales taxes, and the city and the county has gone 4 for 5 in that period of time, not counting this last one that the city did for their unique infrastructure. I'm talking about countywide sales taxes. The purpose of the sales tax in 1988 was an idea that I believe was by Commissioner Kingman, and that was if we pass a 1-cent county sales tax, and the city would actually reduce their 1-cent sales tax by a half, by 0.5, all that money goes to property tax reduction, all of it, and that was the purpose of the sales tax. And it was estimated at the time that a taxpayer that lived inside the city of Topeka would save 17 mills. And people that lived inside Rossville and Silver Lake, their property tax would entirely go away. So that was the idea, and it was placed on the ballot in such a fashion, and it failed overwhelmingly, 36,000 to 26,000. And the reason that I believe it failed is because all the taxpayers had from the city council and the county commission was an oral promise to reduce the mill levy. There was nothing that bound them. There was nothing hard that a taxpayer could rely upon. And in fact, it's illegal for a county commission or a city council to try to bind a future city council or future county commission. So people were looking at a sales tax in place for a rise in the sales tax, but there was no way to make sure that money went into property tax reduction. So that one failed, and it failed rather easily. The other thing to remember is that there are sales tax caps. And for most of the history that we're talking about, the city of Topeka had a cap of 1 cent, and that cap was the same for the county. The city has almost always been up against the cap, and then about 5 years ago, that cap was raised to 1.5 for cities. It remains 1.0 for counties. The history that I've seen, Shawnee County has never gone above the ½ cent. Now, the next attempt at a sales tax was placed upon the ballot in November of 1994, and that one had a very specific purpose: to buy the old Montgomery Wards building and to convert it to a combined joint law enforcement center. And that one actually passed. It was a very specific purpose. It was explained to the voters what it was going to. Both the city and the county bound themselves to that, and the voters gave its approval. That tax resulted in about $19 million that went to that LEC for both the city and the county, and then a remaining $2.8 million went to the county for roads and bridges. That was a 4-year tax. At the end of that tax, the county commission put on another sales tax, and this one was passed in the primary of 1996. And that was, again, a 1/4 cent sales tax, and that began immediately following the last sales tax. And that one was to fund the local share for both the city of Topeka and the county of Shawnee for the Oakland Expressway, with another $4 million to go to repairs to the Kansas Avenue Bridge. So what we saw here, again, a very specific sales tax with what the money going to, how are we going to use it, and both the city and the county locked themselves in. In the prior tax, the excess money went to county roads and bridges, and the next election, the money went to Kansas Avenue Bridge. So we see a pattern of you get one, I get the next. Okay, now we come to this tax ended, and then we have this. This was a 2002 resolution, and it is also the beginning of computers in my office, so you can see it, how we did this. And this one passed also, but this one caused problems. And I'm going to read this language, and you'll see what the problem is. Shall a countywide retailer sales tax in the amount of 1/4% be levied in Shawnee County, Kansas, to take effect January 1, 2003, and expire 4 years after its effective date, to provide revenue to finance countywide infrastructure development and economic development? This sales tax, even though it passed, didn't bind the city or the county. Okay? Generically, economic development. Generically, countywide infrastructure development. The reason I believe this one passed is because the voters saw what we had done with the last 2 sales taxes, and they had developed a level of trust that was not there in 1988. So we got a pass on this one. So beside the fact that it's rather generic, do you know what else we did not do back then? The city and county didn't have an agreement how to share the money. And the arguing started almost immediately. And here's an editorial where the county received the worst of it, about, again, of course, this is later on, but this is, I don't believe that date's right, by the way. This is 2001, not 2006. I don't know how that happened, but this is October 11th of 2001. And this editorial is concerning the negotiations that happened publicly between the city council and the county commission. And the hostilities arose enough that the county actually issued an ultimatum that if we don't come to an agreement, we're going to put a repealer on in the next August and get rid of the sales tax. So I put this article up here to say, to provide this lesson, because what we did the next sales tax is we had the agreement in place before it went on the ballot. Okay, sorry about that. So when we go to, come on. This is the ballot question that we have today. And you'll notice the large difference here is that the infrastructure is spelled out exactly to what we're going to use the money for. Every infrastructure project that we have performed, currently performing, and will perform is spelled out in this resolution. So the taxpayers know what the money's going for. Now you'll see it just says, number one, economic development, and it doesn't say anything else. However, the creation of JADO and the interlocal agreement that did that lets the taxpayer know what we're going to use the money for. So even though on here it's a generic economic development, everybody had access to the interlocal agreement that created JADO. It's kind of hard to talk about countywide sales taxes without also talking about the history of JADO. So at some point in time, the movers and shakers of this county figured out that we had to have an organized economic development program and a way to finance it. Back at the time, what we had was a rather weak Chamber of Commerce, to be accurate about it, and the city of Topeka had an in-house economic development specialist, but they didn't really work well together. And I can remember being at a meeting shortly after I'd come on when Mayor Wagner walked into the room and started talking about a thing called Joint Economic Development Organization, or JADO. And at the time, the failure that was Star Wars Phantom Menace was playing, and I remember thinking, great, we're all going to be JADO nights. But the term stuck. And then we began negotiations on that interlocal agreement. And it was important to have that in place. What happened in between that quarter-cent sales tax and this half-cent sales tax was the discovery that Topeka Boulevard Bridge was not going to be safe in the very near future. That drove the next round of negotiations and increased the sales tax from a quarter to a half cent. And again, because I believe, because we had explained everything out, all the infrastructure was explained, and because the JADO agreement was in place, the voters overwhelmingly passed this half-cent sales tax. I believe that one passed with 58% of the vote, which, as you elected officials would call it, is a landslide. So that's pretty much a brief synopsis. There are a lot of people that were involved with this, and if I started naming them, I would leave somebody out. But a lot of people outside of government worked on this. A lot of people inside government worked on this. And it was one of the countywide sales taxes have been successes. There's just no other way to say it. Look at the Joint Law Enforcement Center. That's a pearl in our community. That is something other communities in Kansas can only hope that they would have. Your sheriff, police, coroner, and 911, all in the same building, working seamlessly. It's an example of what a city and county can do when they're on the same page. Oakland Expressway, it hasn't quite developed the way that it was promised, but it got built and it's done. And then our infrastructure projects, as you can see here, all of those will be done by 2016. And of course, JADO and our third-party vendor that we use on that, Go Topeka, has been up and running since the creation of this sales tax. So if you have any questions, I'd be glad to try to answer them.
Questions? No?
Thank you, Rich, for that.
That was very helpful, because none of us were,
No.
I mean, this predates me as well, so.
Me too.
Thank
Well,
you.
fortunately, that newspaper article also predates the three of you.
Yes. All right. Tom? Tom Block and is Tom Flanagan here as well?
Morning, Commissioners. Tom Block with Shawnee County Public Works. I'm going to give a little presentation on the infrastructure projects that we've been able to accomplish with the current sales tax, and a little bit of, you know, if we were to look at extending it, some of the things that we might look towards in the future. I just have like 5 slides, so it should go rather quickly. But this first slide is just, well, as far as what we've been able to accomplish during this recent sales tax or current sales tax is quite a bit of significant infrastructure improvements, including just roads and bridges. That's what we've focused on public works. And this slide here just shows you all the locations of the bridges that we have in Shawnee County. We currently have 255 toll bridges, all represented there by a black dot. This next slide shows you the red circles indicated bridges that have been replaced with the sales tax. That was, I believe, the first quarter cent sales tax from 2002 to 2004, in which we replaced 32 with those funds. And then the light blue dots are bridges that have been replaced on the current sales tax, and we'll be going through 2016, and we will replace an additional 50. So with the sales tax, we will have replaced 82 bridges. And what's significant about that is, in my opinion, if we didn't have those funds coming in and we had to find other revenue sources to replace these bridges, I think it's my opinion that it would be pretty safe to assume that we wouldn't find the funds to replace all these bridges. And in my opinion, there would likely would have had to been some type of road closures in several locations throughout the county. And when we're trying to, when we talk about having detour routes, and especially with the cost of fuel nowadays, that is an extreme expense in an agricultural type of county on the outskirts of the city, and just getting folks, to the city of Topeka to spend their money. Because of what's nice about this, with the city of Topeka being a regional hub and bringing in folks from all the surrounding counties to do commerce, is I believe, I don't know the exact amount, but I think about a third of the cost or the funds that we get from our sales tax, I believe, come from those folks living outside of the county. And when they come in the county, which we are thrilled to have them here to spend their money and generate sales tax, they are also having quite an impact on our infrastructure. So if they're going to come in and use our roads and use our infrastructure, it will deteriorate because of the additional use. It is nice to know that we can get some of those funds back from that standpoint. This slide here with the green dots, every 2 years we have to do bridge inspections. We go out and look at all our bridges and determine what condition they're in. And these green dots from our latest biannual bridge inspection that was done, there are 27 bridges that would be candidates right now for replacement. So if a sales tax were extended, these dots here, these bridges indicated the location of the dots would be ones that would be high priority bridges. Now, we would anticipate probably replacing more than that, because as the sales tax, if it were extended and as time progressed, over time more bridges would end up, as we do our inspections, would become candidates for replacement. But there right now, as of today, we know of 27 that we would look at likely wanting to replace for sure. And this map here just shows you an overall bridge status. The black dot shows all the bridges, and the colored ones are the red ones were built with sales tax, and the green ones are the ones that would be candidates for replacement. And then as far as roadway projects, this is just a map that shows you the different roadway projects that have been completed or could potentially be completed with the sales tax. Those shown in brown are the ones that are completed with the current sales tax. We've done the Wanamaker corridor, we've done the Croker Road corridor, the Topeka Boulevard Bridge was replaced, And there were a couple more projects. Our Southwest 29th from Urish to Wanamaker was completed, and Southwest 21st, which is being administered by the city, is currently underway, and that will be completed all the way from basically the city limits, basically Arvonia out to Indian Hills, and that is to be completed by 2016. And as we currently stand today, the projects will all be completed on time and actually will be coming in under budget if things hold like we anticipate them to. And then lastly, the lines shown in red and blue are just some potential projects that could possibly be or be candidates for possible improvement if the sales tax were extended. But from a public works standpoint, I'll tell you, this has been wonderful for us. It's been, in my opinion, wonderful for the county. And there's a lot of improved quality of life because of the what we've been able to do with the infrastructure improvements. So with that, that's all I have. I'm happy to stand for questions if there are any.
Hey, Tom, how do you go about evaluating which roads are candidates?
For infrastructure, I don't want to speak on behalf of what the city uses for their selection criteria, but for the county, we like to try to select corridors that are used by a large number of people, because we figure if it's the whole population of the county and even those outside the county, you know, if they come in and spend their money and are supporting we want to choose roadways that will benefit as many people as possible. And then also, you know, we have a strategic plan in which we're, you know, over time we're wanting to essentially create a good major network around the city. We try to implement those roadways if we can. We also look at roads that might be leading up to schools, where get a lot of traffic, you know, get kids and parents to schools and home from school. But the short answer is major corridors that a lot of people would utilize.
Thanks. Other questions? No? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
HR?
What am I there? Touchy mouse. I'm HR Cook, General Manager of the Kansas Expo Center. I'm here to give just a brief kind of history of the Expo Center and where we are today and hopefully where we'll be in the future and possibly how we can fit into the half-cent sales tax. Expo Center was constructed, opened up in 1987 to a cost of $19.5 million. It's going to give you a comparison with the Expo Center, which includes Landon Arena, Exhibition Hall, Domer Livestock Arena, Heritage Hall and Ag Hall, which were already there, which were the original buildings from the fairgrounds, tune of $19.5 million compared to the $250 million it took to build the Sprint Center. Over the course of 26 years, I believe that the county has gotten their money's worth out of the complex, and it was built on budget. It was supposed to be just a little bit bigger, but they did run out of money, so they had to shrink it up just a little bit. Kansas Expo Center is actually one of the few facilities that contributes to all the other facilities and all the other entities in the county. For instance, this weekend with the 6 graduations, commencement exercises we have, the 3 of the city commencement exercises, 3 county exercises, and now this year Washburn Tech is holding their commencement exercise. We're going to have over 30,000 people come through our doors in 3 days. That will amount to not only people from Shawnee County, but also from across the United States that come here. Not only will they come to the Expo Center, but they will also fill up our hotel rooms. They will go visit the zoo. They will go to the Discovery Center. They will go to the parks, the lakes, the golf courses while they're visiting here. And this happens on a year-round basis with our conventions, with our concerts. We do fill up the hotels. We do fill up the restaurants during Kansas Kids Wrestling and our other state tournaments. So We're one of the few facilities that benefits both the city and the county, and really we're the only meeting and gathering place in northeast Kansas, the premier mass gathering facility, as they say. In 2011, there was a feasibility study that was conducted, paid for by our company, SMG, manager of the Expo Center, that it was approved by the county commission to see where we are and where we need to be. We needed a set of eyes looking from the outside in to determine what we need to do. Facilities were, at that time, were 24 years old, starting to deteriorate. We've been through the discussions regarding our budget, our capital. No longer are we buying cotton candy machines, but we're now rebuilding pumps and chillers and things on the infrastructure. It's not that we're not taking care of the facilities, just as if you own a house, after 25 years, your roof goes bad. You know, you have to replace your furnace. So we're at that point right now, and we wanted to see what should we be doing, because we're beginning to lose a little bit of business to our competition. There are new competitors in the market that are going after our shows, and so we hired a strategic advisory group at Betch Associates to come in and take a look, and it was an independent study. The view of our facilities as they currently still. They looked at the three different areas, being the arena, the exhibition hall, and the livestock arena. And when they did come in, they did talk to the groups regarding the arena. They've talked to the promoters that bring in the concerts and the ticketed events. They talked to the clients as far as the public, the season ticket holders, the ticket buyers, and what they would like to see. And they also looked at our sports teams that we currently have and asked them what we would like to have. Land and Arena is the first one up. Basically, the promoters for the sports team said the building is adequate as far as size, could be a little bit smaller, but really it's outdated. It needs to be upgraded as far as dressing rooms, your locker rooms. They could use some more meeting room space, which we heard that from the other surveys that were sent out. Would like some enhancements to our concession stands, to the concourses, to build that fan experience coming in that you now see at your Sprint Center, your Intrust Arena, your BOK Center, your Council Bluffs, your Omaha. You know, at one point in time, we were the state-of-the-art facility, but we've since fallen behind. It's a kind of a picture of our current locker rooms and our current conditions. Very small, very compact. We do utilize these for artists coming in. We do have to dress them up a little bit with pipe and drape. We bring in furniture, but again, they are beginning to deteriorate. The concert promoters, basically what they said, yes, we definitely need more dressing room space. The shows on the road are getting bigger. They're requiring more. When we had Cher several years ago, she had a dressing room just for her wigs. That's how detailed they're getting. It was a lot of wigs. There was like 500 wigs in the room. She didn't wear them all that night, though. But what they did point out is that even if we do renovate, we wouldn't expect any A-name acts. We wouldn't be getting the Rolling Stones. We wouldn't be getting, you know, Lady Gaga's. We are sandwiched in between a Wichita and a Kansas City. We've got Omaha. We have Tulsa. But our market can bear at least about 7 or 8 more shows per year, is what they're saying, if we were to improve our facilities. And a lot of times, if you look at your touch points, your concessions, your entrances, things, you want to be able to create that fan experience, because for ticketed events, spectator events, they will, if they feel comfortable, start spending just a little bit more money at the concession stands, buying a program, buying a t-shirt. So you have to build that fan experience, and that's why they're looking at renovating also those touch points out in the concert, even though their emphasis is going to be what's on stage. Local residents, basic comfort creatures, wider seats, concession stands, wider concourses. Our concourses are 18.5 feet wide. The average concourse now is looking about 30 feet wide. Looking at upgrading our concession stands, our ticket office, being able to get to the building, get in the building, and be just a little bit more comfortable. We've all seen Lake Expo over here off to the left through Parks and Rec. We did stock that with trout last fall. The parking lot is in dire need of renovations. Right now we're getting it so bad now it's getting down into the base, where if we tear it up now we'll have to redo the base of the parking lot. One of the main things that we look at, especially during the winter, are the seating, as far as the steps on the outside. If you are in a wheelchair, you're elderly, you look at these steps coming up, you're going to have a problem. Though we do have a handicapped elevator that we did add a few years ago, it's very difficult to get in. And during the winter, Parks and Rec takes care of our snow removal, and we have to hand shovel all of the steps on the exterior. So one of the things they ask for is to bring the steps and to be able to get to that upper level, bring that inside. Just bring it inside. This is a picture of our concourse during, I believe this was Jeff Dunham, and you can see right here, there's a concession stand on the left, and the ladies' room is on the right, and you can't see where the line for the concession stand ends and the beginning of the ladies' room begins. And this is really one of our prime examples of how we can increase not only the comforts of the arena, but also the revenue generation, because when they see this line, they're not going to get in line for a hot dog, a beer, a nacho, and they're just going to keep walking. One of the other things that the consultant also said is to just kind of bring it up to date, kind of give it some flash, make it a little more comfortable. This is a current picture of our concourse. It's a little drab. Colors are lots of beiges, lots of browns. Our seating area in 1986, the average seat in the industry was 19 inches wide. Today, the average seats in the arenas are 22 to 23 inches wide. It is not because they need turnaround space, it's just because we have grown as a whole. That is our national average. These now, because of the size, not necessarily of Topeka, remember they come from all over the world, but when they sit in our seats, these are metal edges right here, and they do catch your pants, they cut your leg. We've had a lot of injuries, children get cut. We've replaced some pants. We've had to reimburse some people for some pants, and they're not very comfortable. They don't have a lot of leg room. Some pictures of our infrastructure, our boiler rooms. These are the things that you are now seeing on our capital items coming in as far as our infrastructure is concerned. Market recommendations. We need to take care of our deferred maintenance items, our roofs, our boilers, our chillers, and freshen up the patron touch points. Not a lot in the building. Inside, the seats, the paint, the colors, widen the concourses up, give people a little bit more room to roam around. Look at additional meeting rooms inside Landon Arena for meeting. And also we might be able to put in a few extra club seats or suites that we can sell. Not a lot. They're only recommending about 4 or 5 instead of 20 or 30 like you'd see in the larger cities. That's about what we can afford to sell. Recommendations, of course, the better fan experience, the increase in revenues, and we take care of the arena, our arena for the next 30 years. This is a look at some of the areas and some of the new arenas that have been built since we've been built. Not on there is Manhattan. You look at Dodge City, their arena opened up. They're now becoming a competitor of ours. Wichita has Hartman Arena, which is a larger competitor of ours, not so much from Intrust Arena because they're a little bit larger, nor from Kansas City. But Council Bluffs has opened up. You're looking at Kansas City is building a couple more smaller arenas. There's not that much entertainment out there, and so they're looking at some of the newer, shinier pennies. Exhibition Hall, we currently have 44,500 square feet of Exhibition Hall. This really is where the economic impact from overnight stays comes from. Our dog shows, our conventions, our trade shows. Kansas Kids Wrestling, of course, also utilizes Exhibition Hall. These are the ones that come in that spend the evening in the hotels, that have to go to the restaurants, that go out and see the sights of the city, that take the bus tours, that go to the casinos. And currently, with 44,500 square feet, we're starting to become bypassed by our competitors. Century 2 in Kansas City never used to be a big competitor of ours. We were able to hold our own. Now they're looking at renovations. Salina Bicentennial Center just passed a bond that for $9 million to renovate their convention and arena space. Overland Park has since been built. A lot of the major conventions that we used to have are now either gone because they've outgrown us. Kansas Hospital Association is a prime example. They have gotten too big and now they're meeting in Overland Park and Century 2, or because of the amount of buildings that are out there, we're now in a rotation. So instead of getting the major conventions every year, now we're getting them every 3 years and soon to be every 4 years. So we're starting to see that money starting to leave the community. I talked about Overland Park and Wichita offering their trade shows and conventions, the larger square footage. All their facilities are connected. Ours are not. We have to go from Landon Arena to Exhibition Hall, up a hallway to Maynard Conference Center, and we're very difficult as far as our space can't be broken up. We can't have a large ballroom along with a trade show floor. Manhattan, Kansas, right now, 10 years ago, no one thought of Manhattan as a competitor. Manhattan has since come online with their new convention center and hotel, and they're going like gangbusters, and they're going after all the business that's out there, anything they can get a hold of. The Ariad in Lawrence also is becoming competitive. In our industry, what we do is we go out and you can't really create conventions, you have to go steal them, or you have to bid on them. So a lot of times we will go to other cities, other states, register for the conference, try to find the show meeting planners, and talk to them and try to lure their business to peak. I've been thrown out of some very fine facilities. But now we're starting to see people from Manhattan show up, people from Wichita show up, from Lawrence, from Council Bluffs. They're beginning to show up at our convention center and beginning to poach a little bit on our shows. Our disadvantages that can be fixed, we need to start to create and connect our facilities. Create a one-stop. We already have, and to be able to grow our conventions to a point where, yes, we have the Capitol Plaza that is connected at 225 rooms, but a lot of the shows that we do will spill out to the other hotels and motels. But what we want to do is create a larger market, larger contingency of attendees to where we're constantly filling all the hotel rooms. It's not just an advantage for the Capitol Plaza, but for the Ramadas, the Days Inns, the Econo Lodges. Everybody that's out there should be benefiting from us. Survey results pretty much said the ones they talked to people that currently rent our facilities, those that have left, and those potential that could come in if we grew. Those that have left said if you make it big enough, we will come back because we are the capital city. That's the one major advantage we have. Most of the state associations are here. They want to meet here. It's very convenient for them, but they don't fit, or the conditions aren't right. The building is outdated. It's a little dry. Those that are here would like to stay here, and they would like to grow. We've seen a lot of shows that said, if you expand, we'll rent the space. Expanding Exhibition Hall, the recommendation is expanding it another 30,000 square feet and making that into kind of some swing space. Being able to create a ballroom or some breakout space in that area. But if we were to create another 30,000 square feet, we can take out those shows that are currently taking place in Landon Arena, which are supposed to be for ticketed events, spectator events, and being able to put those in Exhibition Hall, freeing up about 41 dates in Landon Arena that we can book concerts, your Globetrotters, your other spectator shows in there. And giving that some, because right now our hockey team is on the road for almost 30 days through the month of February. They don't play any games during February. And that's when mainly the primary for those trade shows take place. The recommendations, again, deferred maintenance. We have to be able to take care of what we have, otherwise we're going to start sliding backwards. If we want to remain competitive, we need to freshen it up, we need to expand it out, and get out there and start working with some of these newer shows that couldn't come in here before, that we can start and create a mid-level market area for conventions and trade shows that we can go after. Domer Arena, Livestock Arena. This was probably the most surprising of all of the study. It had been largely ignored for about 10, 15 years. We looked at it as an opportunity. We did a lot of the smaller shows, 4-H shows and things. But once we started marketing what we currently had, we found that there is a market for our current facility, and we're able to bring in the reining horse and entertain the reining horse shows, bring in some of the larger horse shows that can rent the stalls, pay the facility rent, rent the bedding, go to our cafe, and not only, and times have changed a little bit, people don't stay in their trailers anymore. They do rent hotels. They do rent motels. And it's not necessarily Capitol Plaza. I mean, they do go to the Ramada, to the Econo Lodge. It all varies on the type of show and the type of horse that comes in. We currently have, as far as major events, we do 23 major events and 61 event days in Domer Arena alone, and altogether we do about 45,000 people in attendance on a yearly basis, and that does not include the horses. Domer Arena is run similar to a hotel, where if you have a lot of horses coming in, a lot of participants, usually your rent will go down, but then they have to rent a stall. The stall is on a per day basis. Oh, if you want room service, we have bedding for sale. If you want a trailer hookup, they'll rent that. And that's really what, because we're all connected with our stall barn, our exercise area, and our arena, show arena, that really gives us a very good competitive edge currently in the market, because we're strategically located and we're a very good facility, especially with the RV hookups. I just talked about a little bit about our, because we are located in Shawnee County, people like coming here. This is the market that's not looking for the panache and the flash. They like what we currently have in the community, and if we can build on the community, that's great. But currently they like coming here because they can park their RV, they can plug in, they've got their horse in the stall, they can utilize everything we have. And the fact that we actually have, and you can't see it, but it's down below, we have some of the best dirt in the state. We do a very good job with our dirt. Again, strategic location, here are our competitors. We've got Wichita. The Wichita pavilions are closing in 2016. That was one of our major competitors. They were a little bit bigger than us. They're closing, but the Star Casino down by Wichita is opening up, and they are a state-run casino that is also an equestrian facility. Basically, they have designed their facilities right after us, same size, with 100 RV hookups, 1,600 seat floor, exercise area, and about 250 stalls, the exact same size we are. When this comes online, I don't care how good we are, we're going to start losing shows to this casino because we don't have slot machines in a resort hotel. Salina, of course, is one of our competitors. They have some very fine facilities. The state of Kansas also put about $14 million into the state fair and their facilities. So they're now major competitors of ours. This is the Kansas Star Casino that's currently being built. They're looking at about 3 to 5 years. They're going to be up running with their horse arena. Kansas City is also looking at replacing Kemper Arena. This is one of their ideas. They're going to replace it with a 5,000-seat multi-purpose complex that will also house and connect to the Governor's Building and Hale Arena for horses. We do have a distinct advantage over Kansas City. We've been told over and over again, people like coming here because of our service. They like coming here because of our location, and they like coming here because of the people in Topeka make people feel welcome to not only the Expo Center, but the entire community compared to Kansas City. The recommendations from the Strategic Advisory Group: keep what we have and build on it. There is a hole in this particular equine market for a mid-size complex, going from 150 or 250 stalls to over 400 stalls, creating 2 new show rings and adding another exercise area. Those show rings, our horse season currently runs from April through November. Once it gets past November, it gets a little too cold for horses. Then we go into winter shutdown mode. It's also recommended that possibly one of those 2 new show rings might be able to put ice capabilities in there so that we can have ice, because our ice season runs from about October through April. So we'd be able to free up even more dates in land and arena from youth and adult league to be able to put more events in the arena. Have over more 400 plus stalls. All the facilities are connected, and go well over 100 RV spots for the trailer hookups. Some current conditions of our livestock facility. Again, it's aged. It's not the fact it's being neglected. It's just getting old. There is our stall barn. A lot of people have never seen that. Impact of this market: stop the downward slide. If we continue or start to lose business, the subsidy to the Expo Center is going to grow. It's just the way it is. Last year we did over 700 event days with all of our facilities. We had 750,000 people come through our doors, through the concerts, the wedding receptions, the class reunions, the commencement exercises, the monster trucks, the horse shows, you name it. They've come through. Doing this, expanding out, we're looking at 37 additional for major shows, additional days, with about an additional 55,000 people in attendance. This is kind of a master plan of a wish list right now. Currently, you see Landon Arena and Exhibition Hall, everything in yellow is current. Expanding Exhibition Hall out towards Heritage Hall and actually connecting Heritage Hall there. Connecting everything with the livestock arena so that you can go from the far parking lot, enter through the doors in the inclement weather, whether it be heat or the cold, and be able to walk to Landon Arena without having to go across the parking lot. Expand our parking lot facilities towards the train, out towards Topeka Boulevard to take up some of this space here. This would be the new stall barn exercise area, and then maybe even going across Western and looking at that neighborhood with some of the businesses that have been closed for years and years, and expanding some of our RV parking over there and becoming more connected with the community. Again, the site plan, expanding the concourses out, creating a new entrance to Landon Arena that doesn't look as imposing, that feels welcome, getting people inside quicker, more comfortably, becoming more handicapped accessible. The rules have changed. The laws have changed. We not only want to meet the law, we want to exceed the law, because we're all getting a little bit older. We want to be able to make sure that we're all taken care of, that we meet all of our expectations for the next 30 years. General rendition, as you can see, this currently is our handicapped entrance right here. This would become the main entrance to the exhibition or into Landon Arena, to which you can have your pre-function space going into Exhibition Hall, or you can go back into Domer. If we do absolutely nothing, we need to at least take care of the deferred maintenance. Some of these items that we've taken care of, a few of them, our fall protection system. We're now looking at our roofs. Those are a couple of items that are now done. But even to keep the building open for the next 10 years, we're looking at about $8.4 million in renovations, just to stay where we're at, not creating a competitive edge. If we want to do some enhancements, we're looking at right around about $11 million for just the enhancements. That keeps us where we're at. Everything that I've talked about currently, these are old numbers. These are several years old now. And again, we've taken care of some of the items on that list, but you're still looking at, if we had our total wish list, about $60 million. So, and we know that we won't be taking care of everything, but we need to make a decision on what we're going to be doing with this building. It is truly a gem of Shawnee County, and we have no mass gathering facility other than the Expo Center that is on the inside.
Thank you, HR. Other questions?
HR, when you're talking about the renovations that are proposed, you were able to get the wrestling for the NAIA for the next 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
How would these renovations affect events such as that or other events that come to the Expo Center?
While construction is taking place?
Yes.
We would create a shell. We would build the exterior first. We would not displace very many shows. This can be done in phases. Livestock arena during the winter and the early spring. We can do the arena during a lot of the major construction during the summer when our slow period is starting right about now. We wouldn't displace very many events because we know we don't want to lose them.
In talking with your strategic planners, did they talk about what financial impact or what deficiencies there could be with revenues that are generated during a renovation?
Yes, the full study actually is on our website at ksexpo.com, which addresses that. But again, those numbers are a couple years old. We are currently talking to Washburn University to do a full economic impact study of current economic impact and future economic impact. But the numbers that they're floating around as far as our current economic impact are about $50 to $60 million across the community. As far as the enhancements and renovations that would take place, you're looking at an additional $14 million a year.
Thank you.
Thank you, HR.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. Andrew? Or Commission's election Commissioner Andrew Howe. Sorry, should have done that more professionally.
Good morning. Andrew Howells, Shawnee County Election Commissioner. I'll just visit with you briefly here about key milestone dates that you may want to consider. The ideal dates, if you want to put something on the ballot, would probably be the 2014 either primary or general election. And so I've put some of these dates and target timeframes down for you. And I'm working backwards from the primary to start with, and then we'll go into the November general in 2014. August 5th will be the primary election day in 2014. June the 25th will be the target date for ballot delivery to our office. June the 20th is the requirement that we have our federal service ballots mailed out. June the 9th, 2014 would be our last possible target date to send that ballot order over to the printer. And that's affected, of course, by the ballot question language that we would need to receive at our office. We would like to receive it sooner than that if possible, but that's really the last date that we can receive it is June the 2nd. And in order for us to have time to make sure that it's correct, that the wording is correct, and that we've checked everything, and that the accuracy is correct. That is also the same day as the candidate filing deadline at noon, June the 2nd. And then May 30th, we have ballot printing vendor would be selected. And then you've got ballot printing bidding closing on the 16th, and then May the 1st is when we actually send those specs out to the printers for the ballot printing. So the last possible date, if you should choose to adopt a resolution, would need to be around May the 1st of 2014 in order to hit that target date, 2014 primary. And if we which one of these? Okay. There's a November general slide, and this one, very similar, and we'll just work back for if you wanted to put something on the ballot in the November 4th general election. Would be November the 4th. Then we'd have the September 24th target date for ballot delivery to our office, which also we'd need to have those federal service ballots out September the 19th. And September 12th then would be our target date to send that ballot order to the printer. And September the 1st is the last possible day we think we could manage getting that ballot language to our office. And then we would need to have the county commission consider adopting that authorizing resolution by August the 1st to give us the time to get that completed. Again, those ballot printing vendors would be the same time frame either way. May 30th, the printing bid would need to close by the 16th of May, and May the 1st would be when we would send the specs out. So those are the key times if you wanted to consider those dates. You certainly could consider other options for special elections, but of course those are much more expensive options. So those are probably the ideal times. Any questions you might have?
Andrew, do you have any reason why we wouldn't have the ballot language in the resolution? So if we were talking about having the resolution by May the 1st of 2014, wouldn't we have the ballot language already in that resolution?
Go ahead.
That might be a question for
But
Rich
I would
as
think
much
that
as
would be our
anyone.
portion of the ballot, but of course, there's other races on that ballot. So you're talking about the ballot in total, whereas ours.
Correct, we're talking about the total
Yeah,
ballot on
total
one hand,
ballot.
because we have a number of people on that August primary
Right,
precinct
right.
positions, other statewide issues, but yes, the question is also something that we'd need to know that in time.
Go ahead.
Just to be more specific to Commissioner Cook's question, the authorizing resolution is slides 1 and 3 that I put up, and those do include the ballot question. So your action by authorizing that resolution, that's the resolution that tells us what the ballot language is. So it would be done when you authorize that resolution.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions? Thank you very much. Very helpful. Again, this was just a discussion, presentations, just a little bit of history and steps that we will need to take as a commission if there is an effort to extend the sales tax. I imagine that there will be several other discussions as we go forward, and it doesn't expire until December of 2016. Is that correct? And so, I offer just open for comments, or we can just end it at that point.
Are you taking public comments?
Yes, on this item we can.
Morning, Commissioners. Joseph Ledbetter, and I'm a private attorney here in Topeka. For the record, I did phone in that I wanted to be notified 7 days in advance if there was going to be a discussion of the sales tax item or go-to-peak items or JADO items, and I was not notified. Secondly,
May I interrupt you at this point, and let's get some clarification from our county counselor. Was that notification for the JADO?
no, it's for
board?
this. I sent it.
I
requested of the county.
Are you on our list to receive our agendas?
I should be.
Have you officially notified the county?
I have now.
for that? Are you officially on
I am
our
officially
list?
doing that right now. I'm also asking for a Cora on all the PowerPoints that were done today, so I'm making that official request.
Cora has to be in writing, I believe, from what I heard.
It's
from
fine.
the
I'm
county
putting it
council.
in the record, though.
But it has to be in writing from you.
I understand the procedure,
Thank you. Go ahead. Continue.
but I still put it on the record. Thank you.
That's fine.
The reason I'm here is, well, I'm going to respond to some of the discourse that was given here. I know there's 25 minutes on the expo, and I'm certainly going to talk about that for 25 minutes. The first thing, back in 1996, we had an Oakland Expressway election, which I vastly supported, wrote, and helped drum up support for.
Mhm.
That was discussed. It was a 4-year length of time. And what's happened is, if you want to be successful with the public, where the public feels comfortable, which doesn't seem to be one of the things that's been done with economic development, but if you want the public to be comfortable, you have to give specific ends of dates of the sales tax and what that actually pays for. And I lobbied for that Oakland Expressway in '89. I was told by Velma Paris it would never happen. Well, it has happened. In 2000, that vote barely passed. It was vague. Vic Miller actually was with me opposing it. He said it was vague. We proved that it was vague because we did not have a breakdown of where that money was going to go. We were actually told, and you can go back and Google this in CJ Online, that we were going to get 24,000 new jobs within 4 years. For the record, I'm placing this into the record. These are Bureau of Labor statistics. There's one for each commissioner, and there's one for the county clerk that shows we actually had a job loss during those first 6 years in the thousands, a net job loss. And I just went on the U.S. Census Bureau website yesterday. It's still up. And you can Google it. You can do this yourself. Shawnee County job losses, private non-farm employment, from 2000 to 2010, we had almost a 10% net loss of jobs. I'm sorry I didn't print that out, but you can see it. It's still up. These are actual numbers that we can quantify what the effect of economic development taxes are doing. And actually, we are going downriver fast without a paddle. We had a tremendous job loss last year with Hallmark and Jostens and others. So,
Mr. Ledbetter?
yeah, I am discussing what was discussed.
Well, I kind of take issue with that. I believe this is for countywide discussion, what our priorities would be for the sales tax.
Well, you had economic development in it.
I did not identify that. At this time, we're just discussing the county priorities.
Well,
I know that.
I am a citizen of the county, and I have some priorities too.
Okay.
I would like to see public input on all of these projects, not just dreamed up in a back room.
Well, I think our advisory council at the Expo Center has given some input on that as well.
Well, I would like to have input as well, as would 174,000 other citizens.
In the interest of time, though, granted, we've been here an hour and a half.
I was not part of that.
Well, unfortunately, you weren't here at the beginning.
No, I was here.
But, can you keep your comments brief and to the point so we can fully understand what you're trying to tell us?
I'm attempting to. It is imperative that the public be allowed to have input into each and every step of this process, and it not be done in private meetings out of the scrutiny of the press, which was reported in the CJ just a couple weeks ago. It is important that other people besides just Go Topeka members be involved in this entire process. I believe it's important to put this up in a November election where the most people are involved, not trying to sneak it through in the summer when there's a lot of people away on vacation or they're really not paying attention. I believe that if you want the public to truly be involved, you would open up that process at all segments of the process and say, public, we want your input. In fact, we may not even want these ideas. We may want the sales tax to go to fund Shawnee County Parks and Rec and take it completely off the parks or off the property tax and take away the economic development part, since we can't get answers on transparency about where $5 million a year goes. We may decide that JADO is fine, but we'd rather give the economic development monies based on the formula that was talked about earlier, say 40% to the county, 60% to the city, where if somebody wants to compete for that money, they actually can go to the city manager and the city council or the county commissioners and lay out their case and say, I have a better idea than putting up a 400-foot wind tower next to Forbes Field. I have something that actually work. That is my idea and the idea of many others. And then there's others who would just as soon not pay the tax anymore because we don't feel like, other than some public works projects, we've gotten any kind of decent return since we've had a 10% job loss in this county under Go Topeka's direction and leadership for economic development. We may want to put into the resolution that these funds actually have to be competed for and not just go to one singular organization called Go Topeka or the Chamber of Commerce. Because there may be other people that can do a better job than spending 8 years waffling around on a riverfront.
Again, I think you'll have that opportunity. We'll hear this.
When will that happen?
We'll hear it again on JADO, I'm sure, next Wednesday. So
well,
please save some of your
on
material
that
for
topic,
then.
will the public be allowed public comment?
I believe so.
At that JADO meeting? Will there be a public comment line at the end of the agenda where the public can talk on that as well, like we can at these meetings?
Again, let's stick with the discussion that we have before us.
You brought it up. After I look at the slides that were, and I basically want data on the Expo Center, I have a question that popped up. If they're asking for $60 million, which is what I saw in the request, then they also stated that they would get new revenue from those improvements. So why can't those new improvements be used to pay, at least in part, for some of those improvements? If you have a new income stream that's created of, say, 20%, I'm just throwing out a number here, why can't at least half of that be used to help pay for those improvements? Or maybe 2/3 of it? Why should it all go to the profit of a private management company? I can see why they'd ask for it. But these are the kind of tough questions you've got to ask. Where does that extra money go? Why isn't it paying for some of these improvements? So I will put that request in writing. I didn't take up 25 minutes. Thank you very much.
Anyone else?
My
Morning,
name is Carol Marple, and I'm a citizen. I live in southern Shawnee County. I've sat here and listened, and I wanted to make a few comments. I have no problem with paying and continuing the sales tax for the road maintenance and bridges. We need that desperately. I have no problem. I do have some questions about the expo. If we were operating in the black, why have we not done these things? Deferred maintenance means to me that you don't have the money to pay for the upkeep. So if we're taking the expo, and the last time I was at the expo was Elmo Life. I took my grandson. 2 of us, myself and my 3-year-old grandson. I spent $70 for tickets. I refused to pay $8 for an Elmo balloon that I can go to the dollar store for $1 and buy. I am not going to pay $4 for a hot dog when I know a package of hot dogs with 8 in them costs $1. You know, we're pricing ourselves out of what the normal working person can afford. You know, you can go to the expo events, and I don't go because I think they're too high. But you look at all these empty seats. If we filled those seats, what kind of money would we generate? So we're asked to spend more money, which prices will just go up, and the average person with a family cannot afford it. I think that really needs, I just can't understand that. And Mr. Cook referred, his first comment was that this is the only meeting place in the area. We have a good location. Later on, we were talking about we're losing out to our competitors. It can't be both ways. You know, we are either here, we are the best, or, you know, we're losing out. But if people cannot afford to go there, the average person, we're not going to go anywhere. For the sales tax to be continued for Jado and Go to Pica, I can't, and I have to throw out some comments about the Mars plant. You know, it was a grandiose scheme. I'm glad we got Mars. The jobs that it provides are great. But Go to Pica, I know, my husband and I read in the paper that our land was to be rezoned. In the paper. We weren't notified. We didn't want this. We spent time and money to make sure we weren't. Okay, they just completed a sale, or they bought a house in 40 acres. They didn't want a house in the news, I've lost my train. They didn't want a house where the new business center was going to be. Okay, they were so eager to get rid of this house, which I considered an asset. And you folks have talked about nickels and dimes. And these are nickels and dimes. Okay, the house was sold by auction before Go Topeka had title. Go Topeka got half of it. Then I've heard, I'm not going to say for certain because I don't know for certain, it was auctioned off, it sat there. All right? Then it was put on blocks. Now, we're paying people to take advantage and to take care of these projects. For almost 3 months, we had an open basement sitting there. Talk about liability. You know, there's not a business that I know, if they're good business people, they don't try to reduce their liability.
Again, Carol, can we stick to the discussion?
It is the discussion.
Well, it's in a
Yes.
roundabout way, it is. But,
Yes, it
do
is,
you
and
have
it needs to be
comments on what
said.
we've discussed
It needs to be said.
today?
If you're going to take the money and want the project to say, this is what we've done, but yet, if somebody had gotten hurt on that basement and it took calls to the commission to get it filled in, and I would also like to know who paid to fill it in. It looked like private contractors. So did that come out of my pocket? You know, we're not considering the nickels and dimes. And that's what makes these projects go. We have all these empty buildings here. We don't take care of our mom and dad, our you know, I've started a business. You know, we're not going to get the Home Depots, the Mars. We have to have the individual businesses, and they have to have some support, which I don't see happening. I also have heard about these studies. I sat at your meeting, and I would have to ask Jeff Miller from TNT Educational Consultants gave a study, and I had a banker tell me once, if you're going to pay for the study and you're going to provide the information to the person doing the study will say exactly what you want to say. So I'm going to conclude on that.
Anyone else? Again, Commissioners, these are two of our areas that have high dollar projects. They're looking out into 10, 20, 30 years. These are our responsibilities. Bridges, roads, and the Expo Center is our responsibility. We provide a subsidy for it. But whether we solve these issues with portions of the countywide sales tax or by other means, they are our responsibility. So we're going to have to continue that discussion on how we're going to address this. And today was just an attempt to, again, put it out there, have the public better understand it a little bit. It is complicated. I appreciate the history. I did not know that in depth. I appreciate that, and I thank you all for presenting. Again, we want to better understand, but it has been a benefit for this community in a number of ways. So, next item, please.
Item 5, Administrative Communications.
Do you want to say congratulations to all the Small Business Award winners? Yesterday we had the opportunity to present those, and so a lot of small businesses that started in Topeka and are flourishing, and they were rewarded. So it's a good thing. Anything else?
Do you have public comment?
No, we're, you want it?
Go ahead.
It's up to the commission.
My bladder's fine, go ahead.
Your bladder's fine. On what topic, sir?
Public comment, general public comment. Do you not have that?
We have administrative communications. Come forward. Could you enlighten us to what the topic is?
Yeah, I'm going to expound on economic development, and I'm going to talk about Parks and Rec. In fact, I'll do the Parks and Rec first. Maybe I won't be interrupted as much. I have a request that possibly through your county counselor or somebody else, you would make an attempt to contact Monterra, and they've been through bankruptcies, and they've been through a number of issues out there, about would they consider allowing Parks and Rec to place some playground equipment out there with some kind of agreement that the playground equipment could, would still belong to the county, and they could maintain the parks, and maybe in conjunction with the community center out there, The parks are deficient. There's a lot of kids out there, probably hundreds. And I'd like to see them have some picnic tables that look decent and some decent playground equipment. It is in the Williamsport Township, but they don't have any authority there. You do have a countywide Parks and Rec now, which I pushed for years, and I'd like to see an area that isn't well served with that kind of equipment to possibly have some. The other thing is I would like a communication with, I think Williamsport actually has the park there at the old 75, and see if there's something that Parks and Rec could do to possibly put up a fishing pier, maybe an off-ramp for kayaks and canoes, which I use, for the little Wakarusa River, and maybe we could at some point talk to Nature's Conservancy about doing some kind of conservation or recreational easement in that area where more people could have access to that river, and you actually give the landowners something for their use. Those are some complex ideas, but I can put this into further discussion off record with whoever would be in charge of that. I do have more ideas on that.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
Are you on the Williamsport Township Board?
No.
Okay.
I'm a citizen.
Okay, I was just asking.
Yeah. Actually, what I find useful in public meetings, unlike Go to Pica, is I actually get to come and talk and put my ideas out. And then some of those ideas are actually deemed interesting and useful, and somebody actually acts on them. And that's how I started the Washburn sales tax, which I authored and got through the legislature, which actually took 15.5 mills off the property tax owners of this city. It's those kind of discussions that I enjoy because there are actually people in this community that are not related to Go to Pico that actually have ideas, and they're very creative, and they're very good, and they're very useful. And it appalls me with economic development for 12 years. We've had basically one little group claim that they have all the ideas, and all I've seen is failure when I look at these statistics that I cited earlier. So what I would like to do is further expounding on that. The JADO interlocal agreement is fine, but I would like to see potentially that $5 million sent directly in parts to the county and in part to the city, so they can actually administer those funds themselves, and we don't have to have a subcontractor in between that doesn't want to give transparency, doesn't want people to get their minutes, which I've asked for, doesn't want the public to know what's going on with $5 million per year of public money. That is a central flaw in what we're doing in economic development in this community. There are a lot of people that have a lot more creative ideas than what I'm seeing come out of that group. And, you know, the truth is, in a democracy, we all have a right to speak. And the truth is, in a democracy, we have a right to go on the public record and make requests. And some are considered and some aren't. But at least we're part of the process. And I think that's what galls myself and a number of other individuals, and I mean hundreds, probably thousands in this community, that the public is so shut out of the economic development process when we see so many job losses. And it's just appalling to me. I'll finish with this. I have made repeated requests under the contract that JADO has with Go to Pica of paragraph 7. Go to Pica agrees to submit to JADO updated quarterly program status reports as well as quarterly financial statements. Quarterly statements shall be submitted to JADO within 45 days. I have repeatedly asked for those exact documents and get nowhere. And yet, I'm not on JADO. It's the responsibility of the JADO members to make sure that they're getting these documents and reviewing them. So I was just wondering, when is that going to start happening? Madam Chair.
Thank you for your comments.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
You as well.
I will.
So will I. Okay, next item, executive session. Yes, and we do have a need, but I believe that was with bond counsel, and I believe he had to leave, so we will not have an executive session to, you want to still have one for, with counsel, we can talk with Rich.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to it.
Okay, we still have time. For a period not to exceed 10 minutes to consult with legal. Hopefully, Jane, if you could catch Rich, I don't know where he went to.
Here he comes.
Okay.
Madam Chair, do you want to limit the executive session only to
That's good.
attorney-client, or do you want
Good
to add
question.
to real estate
That would be
acquisition?
We're going to have a 10-minute executive session, but consult with legal and real estate. Okay. That's a motion. Second?
Second.
By Commissioner Archer. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. No action anticipated. And thank you all for being here this morning for this extended
Madam
session.
Chair.
Oh. We'll start out with 10 then. Okay? Let's see if we go further.
We passed the resolution, says CJ's great.
I'm allowed into executive sessions now, look at that. Counselor just invited me.
Just that
This is of the record. Of the record now. Hey.
All right. We're back in session. We are adjourned. Thank you. Long morning. Can I come back to sign? I've got to get to a meeting.
Yes, that's fine.
I'm sorry.
And there's,
Anyone else
there's,
want to